Hey everybody, Charles for HumbleMechanic.com. Back today to talk about the OTC 4722, which is a heavy-duty CV boot clamp plier tool. I was turned on to this tool by a coworker several years ago when Volkswagen sort of switched their CV boot clamps from a really nice soft clamp, I don't know if you can see that, similar to this, to something that was basically heavy-duty. And I had been using something like this, which is the Lisle brand pliers, to clamp these clamps down. And, I was really struggling with them because the new ones were so much more heavy duty than the older ones. You'd either have to put this end in the vise, or there's actually a fitting on these for putting a 1/2-inch drive, like a breaker bar, which is cool because it extends it out to here, but then it's all wonky and hard to use. So a coworker of mine was using this, and we talked about it, and I ordered one, and I gotta say, it works really well. So the way it works is basically you put a drill on the end, run the drill in, and as you run the drill in, it tightens up the clamp. Now this one looks a little weird because it's not really clamping anything, but you get the idea. And like I said, on the heavy duty clamps, it's really challenging to use just the plier style. So the pros, it's 17 bucks. You can't really go wrong on a tool for 17 bucks unless it's a complete piece of junk. So for 17 bucks, I'll roll the dice just about every time. It's quick. You can see how fast the clamp tightened just a second ago. It's quick. You can see how fast that I was able to tighten that clamp with. So it's nice to just zip it in and you're done. It's also a heck of a lot less work not having to struggle and fight the really heavy duty stuff with the pliers style. And it's pretty much fully adjustable, so you can do really small clamps or really big clamps like CV boot clamps or, tie rod boot clamps or anything like that. Pretty easy to use, but it's not perfect. There's a couple of things that if I were going to redesign this tool, I think I would change. It does take some getting used to. You sort of have to put downward pressure towards the clamp when you're tightening it up. Otherwise, I've actually had this slip off a few times, and then you've wrecked a clamp and you got to get a new one. So not the end of the world, but hey, wasting a clamp is still basically wasting a clamp. I also had to actually retap the hole and put a new bolt in. The threads on this from the factory are pretty fine, so I put a little bit coarser bolt in, which made it hold up quite a bit better. It's held up really well. I've had this for like 6 years, 7 years, and it's been rocking and rolling. I also do use an impact gun on it, this Makita impact gun that we've talked about before, so that probably doesn't help. It's probably a little more abuse than this thing normally would get, but hey, it's how I use it. I've made a workaround for it, and it works pretty darn good for me. Overall, I think it's a great addition to your, basically your boot clamp plier repertoire, but I don't think it'll ever really replace this style. These are great for the softer clamps and the really small ones, but when you have the heavy duty ones, this thing is awesome. I really, really like it. Again, it just takes sort of a little bit of finesse to get used to it and figure out that little trick of just, if this were the boot, just pushing down a little bit on it when you tighten down the clamp. It's not hard, especially when you have the axle secured and it's not rolling around all over the place. Like I mentioned, it's just 17 bucks. So you know what? If you buy it and use it 2 times and it works, great. You didn't really lose out too much. This one, on the other hand, is really not that expensive either. These are right now 22 bucks on Amazon. This one's 17. Either way, you're not spending a ton of money. Again, I don't think this one will ever replace this one, but it's a very, 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 very good addition to your toolbox. And if you got Prime, it's 2-day shipping. So, I don't know, I'm like a super fan of Amazon Prime. I probably spend more money now that I've got Prime than I ever would have, but whatever. So the big question is would I buy this again? Absolutely. It's definitely worth it. I've turned a bunch of the guys in the shop onto this tool. Again, overall, not bad. I would say I might consider grinding down the part that clamps a little bit just to make it a little sharper. That would probably hold the clamp a little bit better and maybe not make you have to push down so hard on it to get it to perfectly clamp the boot every time. But, those are kind of nitpicky things. Luckily, this is a really heavy-duty piece, and it's easy to customize, sort of like I did, where, I tap new threads in it, or if you needed to sharpen this up. It's a $17 tool, so if you need to kind of fine-tune it a little bit, it's not that big of a deal. All right, guys, I'm going to wrap it up there. Nice, simple review today. If you have any questions or comments, please post them in the comments section below. I always appreciate that. Hey, if you like the video, throw it a thumbs up on YouTube. You can subscribe on YouTube or on the blog at HumbleMechanic.com. You can also follow me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Like I just said, the blog, humblemechanic.com, and obviously on YouTube. If you got a tool that you'd like for me to review, let me know. Either post it in the comments, shoot me an email to charles@humblemechanic.com. Please put tool review in the subject line, or use the contact me form on the blog. Either way, I'll see it, and I'll do my best to get that tool review for you guys. All right, guys, thanks for watching, and I will see you next time. Missile IPA from Champion Brewing from somewhere. Charlottesville, Virginia.